guys, what's up? How you doing? You know who I am, the Brainsmasher. Today with possibly my biggest shit show video yet. I'm in a weird transition phase between laptops, and I'm having a hard time with video editing software, whatever, boring shit. So it's been a while. It's kind of rough going with the video making right now, but I gotta crank something out because the shit is just piling up. I'm buying records like a madman. So I've got a giant pile, something like 34 releases here in the last 2 or 3 weeks that we're gonna just fucking cram through. You'll see. It's gonna be great. Yeah, you may have noticed. Look at that. Look at the new shades. Yeah, turned 40, figured might as well get a pair of glasses. I really don't like all those kind of hipster styles that a lot of dudes are wearing, and I've always thought Jeffrey Dahmer had a nice pair of glasses on him. So, anyways, yeah, without further ado, we're listening to Horn. This is a 2 CD reissue of 2 of his earliest records. This came out on Northern Silence, and the one that we are listening to, I'm gonna have to check. They're in German. It is called Die Kraft der Caesarian or something like that. Great stuff. You should still be able to pick up copies of this, even though it is limited to 900 copies. Back on my black metal bullshit. So we will talk more about that as we plow through this stuff. So mail order, Discogs, eBay. Went up to Minnesota last weekend and had a great time with my buddies in Obsequiae and saw my friend Austin from Panopticon, etc. And I went to Down in the Valley Records. Picked up a few things. Absolution by Ashbringer of Minnesota. I don't know, I was just feeling a wild hair in my ass, and I saw a really compelling review of this on Facebook or something, and thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm getting it. Listened to about half of it, and not going so good so far, so I shut it off. I'm going to revisit that some other time. Visited their used section at Down in the Valley. This is a record store I had never been to before. There are 3 locations. I thought there was only one. Pretty cool. They had a shit ton of stuff. I didn't buy a whole lot there, but I would imagine an amalgam of 3 different locations has got to cover the gamut. So I'm stoked to have discovered a new record store that has a pretty good amount of stuff. I picked up this Neltrote CD called Trespass. I could be confusing this with like Adversarial or something. This is like around the same period of time. Nuclear War Now put it out, so I haven't listened to it yet, but if I'm right, I remember it being really, really blistering, just fucking brutal, kind of grindy death metal or something. Kind of always wanted to pick up a copy of it, so finally did. Also picked up this Howling Wind Vortex. Haven't listened to it yet, but I did download this many years ago, and I think I remember liking this band quite a bit. And my buddy Steve from Init Records put this out back in the day, who also works at Down in the Valley. It was good to see you, Steve, if you're watching. Picked up as well the new Tomb Mold. I really like it. Planetary Clairvoyance. Yeah, you all know that. Let's see. Also got in, speaking of albums on year-end lists, Blood Incantation, Hidden History of the Human Race. What hasn't been said about this? This is fucking utterly phenomenal. There's a minute of a weak spot on this record, but I don't care. It works for the levity of the whole thing. These guys are not overhyped. They deserve so much of the credit and accolades. People, I think, give them slack because there's many different reasons, but I think they get a lot of slack just for not doing anything original or like doing stuff that other bands already did. But better. Maybe not better than they ever did, but better than they are now. So it's a nice way to revisit an amalgam of different death metal bands, from Immolation to Time Ghoul. I don't really feel like the Time Ghoul is as like dead on as a lot of people are saying it, but whatever. It is great. If top 5, I'm gonna say end of the year list. Also, filling in my collection of non-ambient Paysage d'Hiver albums. Don't really care for them quite yet, but now that I've learned that these A5 digipacks, some of them are pretty easy to get on the cheap. Picked up Kirker. I think this might be the second full length, but I have a really hard time piecing together the chronology of Paysage d'Hiver's discography, but this is fucking killer. I also picked up Nacht. Haven't listened to this one maybe ever, but I did, I think, give it a real quick cursory YouTube spin just to make sure that it wasn't a boring ambient album, and I heard a little bit of black metal on there and I was like, buying it. That's kind of been my MO with all of their A5 releases. Also got in, okay, so my last video kind of was a turning point for me in listening. The black metal that was going on behind me, which I was playing the Ungod Bazazaza split, just as well as the a couple other albums that I showed in that video, just fucking propelled me down this wormhole of nasty black metal, and I've been kind of waiting for that to happen over the last few months, and it finally did, and I'm really loving it. So not so much of the guttural old school kind of death metal kind of stuff. I'm really on a kick of just really early simplistic second wave black metal. I'm gonna do a video about this, but I'll touch upon the topic for a moment. I have entered the Mega Metal Mixtape Exchange on Instagram, link below. It's like a Secret Santa kind of deal where you can make a mixtape for a total stranger and then you get one from somebody else. And I made it themed, kind of centered around that Ungod Bazazaza stuff. The Ungod material more than the Bazazaza. So that led me to buying a lot of the releases that we're gonna get into here. Picked up this Buswichterig from Galgaris. One of the tracks that I played on the album that I showed in my last video just utterly floored me, and I had been meaning to pick this up for a really long time. Haven't spun it since I got it, and I haven't listened to it in probably 10 years or so. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Another thing along those lines, picked up a re-release. This is a strange album cover. This is Sacrilegium with Weaker. And this is their debut full length from 1996. It is really, really good, and I'm looking forward to getting more of their stuff. I've always had an EP of their first EP called Sleep Time. This is quite a bit more developed than that is. This is really, really killer. Kind of synth heavy, but very, very early. Just grim, cold European black metal, the way it ought to be. Listened to it a couple of times today, and it rules. So, another thing along those lines, what else do we got here? Also picked up the early demo compilation by Funeral Winds. This just came out 2019 on Necromantion label or something. I think Nuclear War Now had copies of this for really cheap, and you better fucking believe I went ape shit crazy on that Black Friday sale that he had. So this compiles demo from 93, 92, live track, and previously unreleased 95. I give this a real quick spin, and I found it just a little bit on the nastier side than what I'm kind of in the mood for lately. I'm just really looking for 91, 92, 93 black metal that kind of predates De Mysteriis Dom Satanis or Blaze in the Northern Sky. If you have any suggestions, let me know, but I feel like I've pretty much covered as much as I can possibly scour up along those lines. But seriously, Ungod and anything like it, I want to gobble it up with all my holes. Also picked up this North demo compilation. This is Demons of Fire 93-94. I don't think I've listened to it yet, but it came out on Werewolf promotion maybe 10 years ago or so. I don't really know anything about North, so looking forward to getting into that. Also picked up Brandbar with Sid. This is post Heel Telwen. Man, that's a, yeah. So I don't know if I can explain this to you without any precursor of Heel Telwen, but it's like French pagan metal, not really black metal, but great riffs, awesome kind of like triumphant flute playing. It just really works so super well. Brandbar. Also got in, this is a kind of a killer release. Boring cover art, but this is an Abigor compilation of really, really old, previously unreleased demo stuff. Just this thing is just filled to the brim with tons of stuff from 94, 95, 96. There's like 2 tracks from a couple of old demos each. And then at the end of it, there is an instrumental, kind of reworked version of the album Supreme Immortal Art from 97. So that is killer. It really took me back to the early days of Abigor and just some of my absolute fucking favorite black metal from early on in the day. So this is weird, really weird. I think I was on Facebook just fucking around one day, and I'm in this group called Not Dungeon Synth, but, and I get a lot of really weird kind of left field recommendations from there. Something caught my eye about this band, and they're called Moon and Azure Shadow, and I listened to like 10 seconds of it, and I just went, you know what, I'm gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna kind of blind buy it and just get it. And what I got is not at all like what I heard or remember hearing. So I don't get it. This is just absolutely bizarre. I don't understand this artwork. I guess the idea here is that it's kind of merging some symphonic kind of atmospheric dungeon synthy kind of stuff. It really doesn't do anything for me like some dungeon synth does. But there's a little teeny bit of black metal on here, and it just kind of reminds me of some boring Finnish kind of old school black metal. It's just okay. So yeah, that was a blind buy that just kind of how about the opposite of a fucking blind buy here? So I was fucking around. Alright, so the reason there's so much stuff in here, the reason I bought so much shit lately, is I found this old Dreamcast video game that I've been sitting on for 20 years. And I looked it up on eBay, and it was worth a shit ton of money. So I sold this Dreamcast game for $300. And that's why I've been just kind of going nuts with a lot of this stuff. So I'm on eBay fucking around with some stuff that I've had in my wish list for a really long time. And I found this guy in Taiwan selling some really killer, rare stuff that I wanted. So I won 3 of those auctions. One of them is Unanimated as the Ancient God of Evil. I missed out on the first record, but God, I'm so fucking happy I had this. I think my top bid on this finally was $58. So if you are in the market for an original copy of this, I was super freaked out too, thinking this might be bootlegs, but I am really, really, really confident in saying that these are original versions of these rarities. So fuck, I'm so happy to have this finally. I always kind of held off on listening to this band because I wanted to get a copy of it for my own, and it's really hard to get No Fashion stuff. So this is helping me fill in my No Fashion collection as well as my Dan Svanya collection. Also picked up Kiss the Goat by Lord Belial. You know it. Killer riffs, great Swedish black metal on No Fashion from 94. 1995. Also, just kind of always wanted to grab a copy of this, and I wound up getting this for 20 bucks. Goat Lord Reflections of the Solstice. This came out on Metal Age Productions in some year, probably like 2002 or 3 or something. Who cares? Let's see. How about some vinyl? Picked up this new one from Vulture. So this is a really, really interesting project I've been kind of following and checking in on. Finally decided to bite the bullet on this full length called self-titled Vulture. There's his logo. I'll put a link down below, of course, so you can check this out. But this is a really interesting guy. He's super prolific. White vinyl. Actually, that's kind of clear white. Anyways, it's super raw black metal, really, really simplistic. But I really like his kind of like punky sort of approach to the style. It's really refreshing, energetic, and it just kind of really brings an urgency to the rawness. It doesn't really rely so much on how ugly and disgusting and raw it is. It really has an identity all its own. It's kind of melodic sometimes, and in his other releases he works in a lot of other kind of interesting instrumentation. So yeah, check out Vulture if that sounds interesting to you. Mike Seatown, for sure, this is up your alley as well. Even has the OBI strip, I guess. Is that what that is? I don't fucking know. Also picked up the album of the year. I'm calling it right here. Obsequii with the Palms of Sorrow Kings. Fanboy, you betcha. We had a exquisite ice cream date this weekend, and this record is goddamn amazing. You've probably all seen my review of this album, but I'm just wallowing in these riffs, and I will never tire of those melodies. Okay, more. Picked up Sanctuaire with Les Sons sur la Glacière. Haven't played this yet, but this is some cool pagan Quebecois, I believe, kind of folky black metal. I listened to it for a second before I decided to put it on my wish list a long, long time ago. Also picked up a few things at Cheapo Blaine when I hung out with my #1 fan, Dave. Dave, it was so killer to hang out with you and meet you. And go to one of our favorite haunts together, where I bought a ton of stuff. Imagine that. So I picked up. So I have been really disheartened by the last few times I've visited the cheapo locations in Minneapolis that weren't in Blaine, Minnesota. And I didn't know that they've kind of pushed all their metal selection up to the Blaine location, which is kind of out of town. It's kind of north. It's kind of in strip mall hell up there. But it is one of the finest metal CD and LP collections I have seen in any stores in the Midwest over the last few years. I'm pretty confident in saying that this is the best metal record store in all of the Midwest. So Blaine, cheapo, get there. There's so much killer stuff. I mean, it's not like, okay, it's killer for me because I'm into all this old releases. I'm into used CDs for $7 and $8. It's not like you can walk into a fucking million record stores and find every new metal release on vinyl for the last 10 years and whatever. I honestly don't give a shit. This is my fucking bread and butter. Old school, weirdo releases that I haven't thought of for a really long time. So I picked up some pretty fun things here. This is Damnation with Rebel Souls. You know, this is the kind of thing you can just go in there, you pick this up, it looks interesting, it looks nondescript. You can see that it's on last episode and came out in 1996. And I bought it. That's all I needed to go on here. Turns out this is several members of Behemoth as well as Hellborn And it turns out also this is a really, really mediocre kind of deathy black metal kind of release or whatever. It's okay. I don't regret buying it whatsoever, but I might not listen to this very often. Also picked up something I've always kind of meant to get, Neonism by Solifald. I really do dig this kind of weird, original, avant-garde, strange metal. It's super, super bizarre. And man, I was stoked to get a copy of this. Split with Squashbowels and Disgorge from Mexico. Their cover, Squashbowels' cover of Radio Hit by Anal Cunt is perfect. I really, really love the production on the Squashbowels side of this. I listened to the Squashbowels side so much before I even had a copy of this. I can't even tell you anything about the Disgorge side. I'm sure it's awesome. But Bizarre Leprous Productions put this out some time ago. But yeah, this is probably one of my favorite grindcore releases, and I'm stoked to finally have a copy of it. I also picked up this Weirdo EP from Darken. I believe this is self-titled. And the reason I bought this is because it is on Defiled Records, and it just kind of looked okay. And it is just okay. Came out in '97. It's some kind of melodic, kind of dark metal kind of stuff. Also picked up the second full length from Agatus, The Weaving Fates. Iron Pegasus put this out in 2002. It is not great, but it's okay. Also picked up Reticulated by Emeth. So I'm really surprised a lot of people sleep on this band, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's super hyper speed, kind of blasting death metal, bordering on grindcore. I know the artwork on this is not going to sell you on this whatsoever, but it is flawlessly brutal hyper speed metal. I guess I would say if you took like brutal death metal bands and took out all the fucking breakdowns and the pitch harmonics and all the shit that make it hard for me to stomach, you would have Emeth. They're a really, really talented, super, super fast band. They just fucking pummel at unknown speeds. Also been meaning to pick this up for a really long time since Justin Stubbs mentioned it. This is From the Depths with an EP called Bereavement, and it came out in 1997. One of my favorite years for metal. Yeah, these guys were from Ohio. I'm starting to kind of, in the last few days, learn more about the Ohio metal scene, but this is fun, kind of blackened death. It's got a lot of synth all over it, which I wasn't really expecting, but it's interesting, technical, and really brutal, and just, it's kind of one of those signifiers of the time that I really enjoy things that kind of take me back to that day and age. And along those lines, we also have Castrum with Black Silhouette and Folded in Sunrise. So I went back to Goodwill, the one that I had a huge score at 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they had a couple more things either I missed the first time or they have more in the back that they brought out. In fact, I probably need to go there again tomorrow and see if there's anything. But yeah, Vulture Records, the logo, I was sold on this. I didn't know anything about this band. Also, I mean, check out this band photo. How can you turn this down for $1.88? Oh man. And can't go wrong with the pentagram on there either. It sounds like it looks. It's not great. It is pretty fucking corny, I will say. But it's not like I bought this thinking it was going to be some groundbreaking, amazing record. I got what I paid for. Look at that. That's worth $1.88 on its own. Maybe it might have been cheaper than that, actually, but whatever. So, I mentioned Defiled Records a couple of albums ago, and I also picked up another release from them, Fall of the Leaf. Evanescent, Ever Fading. Sorry, I said a bad word. Man, this is so killer. I've always wanted to have a copy of this. It came out in 1998. This is a Finnish black metal band. Definitely doesn't sound like any other band. It's just got these amazing, uplifting, angelic kind of harmonies all over the place. It's super killer. I wish this would get reissued on everything. It's amazing. I picked up their August Vernica album a couple of years ago thinking, maybe I don't need this Evanescent Ever Fading, but I was wrong. This is kind of rare, so I did wind up paying about $35 on eBay for this, I believe. It was so worth it, though. I've always wanted a copy of this. Perfect. Riffs. Okay. Visited Half Price Books the other day and found an original copy of Dreams of the Carrion Kind by Disincarnate. What the hell? Amazing. Been listening to the shit out of this. Did you know that Aaron Stainthorpe does guest vocals on track 5, I think it is? Weird. Also, went to a weird kind of shithole antique store and they had a stack of CDs like this tall. What are the odds that there's anything in that stack for me? Well, always look. Keep digging, always look, because you never know when you're going to find something weird. This is the Dead Youth with Intense Brutality. I was so fucking over the moon to find this because I collect grindcore records. This is in probably the worst shape of any CD I own, but I bought it for $1, I think. I didn't have cash on me, and the guy took credit cards, but to take my credit card, the guy behind the counter had me call the owner of the store on his phone and give him my credit card number over the phone while 12, I shit you not, 12 screaming kids were in the background at his house. Never give up. This isn't very great, but I just love the experience of digging and finding things out there, and just gathering up these relics of history and bringing them home and putting together one of the greatest collections you'll ever find. Look at these losers. These guys were from Chicago. They put out like 2 albums. This is kind of like hardcore death metal kind of stuff. It's kind of different, I gotta say, to their credit. It's just not great. Oh yeah, I also picked this up at Goodwill. I've never had a copy of this. Soundgarden's Bad Motorfinger rules. You all know that. And getting down to the last few here, filling in my Bathory collection. We could talk for days about why I've never really gotten around to picking up all the Bathory records, but I now have picked up all the ones up to Requiem. Can't remember if it's Requiem or Octagon that came first, but I don't have either of those. And other than Nordland 1 and 2, I think you're good. But I picked up Hammerheart as well as Under the Sign of the Black Mark. I've listened to these on MP3 forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So much so that I always just kind of thought, like, Bathory's always there. I don't need a physical copy of them. It's really hard to find Black Mark releases used, which is my bread and butter, as you know. So I never really found them in a used bin, but I did wind up shelling out maybe 15 or 16 each for these. So yeah, finally picking up that. Last but not least, Merciless, self-titled. I don't know, I thought this was kind of hard to come by. This is their 2002 album, and man, I gotta urge you, listen to fucking Merciless. Their first one, most people kind of know it, but I feel like, does everybody fucking jam that record? It's amazing. Their second album, Unwound, fucking flawless. It slays. So this is... There was another album in there that I still need to get a copy of. I think I've heard that it's kind of it's weird or not very great. I could be wrong. I'm certainly open to that idea. But yeah, this fucking rules. Self-titled, 2002. These guys never really strayed too far from home. Just did quality releases every now and then, and I just don't know why more people aren't kind of crazy about Merciless. So you should be able to pick up a copy of this on the cheap. For some reason, I always held off on getting a copy because I thought it was like ultra rare for some reason, and I really don't know why. But ever since I saw these guys live with Au Noir a couple years ago, they fucking slayed me to death all the way. It was so good. I think they're never coming back to America. It was like their first and last show. Brutal. Anyways, so yeah, that was a shit show. I hope you liked it. I'm hoping to get my laptop situation figured out. I don't know. Been getting adjusted to a new shift at work. Of course, Thanksgiving took up a lot of my time too. Either way, I hope you're all doing well. Let me know how your family has been doing since you saw them at Thanksgiving and whatnot. And we will catch you next time. Thank you for joining me.